Hey guys, what's going on? How's everything going out there? How's the vinyl community doing this week? Hope you guys are all well. Well, it's finally Friday. Time to get me a drink, talk about some records, and see what I got today. Blind Pirate Blood Orange IPA from Midnight Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia. I've never had this beer ever. I was at the store today and I saw Blood Orange IPA and I went, oh yeah, I'm trying some of that. So let's see what it tastes like. That's pretty good. A little bitter. Doesn't have too much orange flavor in it, though. It's not bad, though. I've had better blood oranges before, but it's a little hoppy. It is an IPA. That's to be expected, right? Well, happy Friday, all. Salute. Hope you guys are having a good time. So this week, trying to think of what I should talk about or whatever, and what's been going on with me. I'm on a record store ban, I guess you'd say. So me and the wife did a budget a while back, and I have basically been suspended from buying records for a month. So it's been a few weeks now. I haven't been able to go to the record store. My ban lifts next weekend, which is just in time for record store day. Not that there's a whole lot out there for a record store day for me to pick up anyway. Just a couple of records that I might want, but nothing that really stands out that I need to go stand in line for or anything else. Our record store here in Clarksville isn't really going to be doing anything special. They're not even going to open early. He had us order stuff that we wanted beforehand to keep behind the counter or whatever, or make sure he had that in. I didn't order anything. I'm just going to go check my luck and see what comes out. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I didn't think record store this year was that big of a thing. There's nothing out there that I really, really want, not in the last couple of years. So I was thinking about what to talk about this week, and I was thinking about people who were famous for other bands and bands before they were famous, I guess you'd say. So I don't have a whole lot of stuff like that, but all these records were in that dumpster find that I like to talk about every once in a while. Some of them I knew right away. Some of them I had no idea. I just kept. All of these records I'm going to talk about today, basically I listened to at least once before. I think that's pretty much about it. So I played them all again this week to kind of get my impression of them. So kind of get you an idea of what I'm talking about here. So Blackjack, 1979. Those of you in the know already know who this is. This has Bruce Kulick from Kiss in it. There's Bruce right there. Look at that nice porn stash he has. And who's this guy right here? Michael Bolton. That's Michael Bolton before he changed his name. So Bruce Kulick and Michael Bolton had a band together. And I knew Bruce Kulick's band was called Blackjack, but I didn't realize that Michael Bolton was the singer on here at the time. So when I found all those records and I'm flipping through, I saw this here. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. So I kept it. It's got cool little die cut, so it looks like a deck of cards. Japanese pressing, obviously. Nice little obi or insert that's also die cut. The problem with that cut is what's happening is because of the obi strip down here in the corner, it's getting bent because it's not cut, I guess. So I listened to this earlier this week. It's all right. I guess, it's all right. If you're a big Kiss fan, you probably already own it. Nice, cool Polydor label. I kind of like this old school classic Polydor label. But this record, there's a song called Heart of Stone, kind of pretty cool jam. It's got some good guitar work on it. This is Bruce early, 1979, long before he was ever in Kiss, 3 or 4 years probably. I heard say Bruce joined Kiss in 83 or 84, something like that. Maybe even later. Yeah, around 84, if I remember right. That album is very like adult contemporary AOR type of rock. At times, it kind of reminds me of something like Meatloaf would be playing. Of course, Bruce's brother Bob was in Meatloaf, and I think Bruce may have played on some Meatloaf records, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure on that. Bob wrote helped write a couple of songs on here also. But overall, it kind of sounds like something Meatloaf would do. I mean, it's a decent soft rock album. Bolton's voice is very good, as you would expect Michael Bolton's voice to be. And Bruce Kulick's guitar works pretty good. It really is. I mean, it's different style than what he was playing with Kiss. But I don't think this album is consistent. It gets real soft at points in time, and then it kind of gets harder and a little rocky. And then, like I said, sometimes it sounds like Meatloaf, and sometimes it sounds like all that other album-oriented rock that from that time frame. So to me, it's not really consistent. It's not really something I'd go for a whole lot listening to. Like I said, it's probably only the second time I've listened to it. It's not bad, but nothing overly spectacular, I guess you'd say. But if you're a Kiss fan and you want all things Kiss, you're going to want it because it's got Bruce Kulick in it. All right, so now we're going to go on to another record. This one from Samson called Hold On, 1980. When I found this one, I just looked at the cover and went, well, I'm keeping that. I didn't even know what this was. You look on the back, there's a picture of a band. There's an Obi strip there. It's covering somebody right here. Got a track listing on the back. So the first time I played this, I started playing it, and I'm thinking, man, that guy sounds like Bruce Dickinson. That guy kind of sounds like Bruce Dickinson. And I look on the back, and it says Bruce. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I Google it or whatever and find out this is Bruce Dickinson. And this picture right here where this Obi strip is the picture of Bruce Dickinson from 1980 before he was in Iron Maiden. I think this might be his debut vocal album. This is the second Samson album, I think. They went back and re-recorded the first one with Bruce on vocals, but it doesn't really count. This is the debut of Bruce Dickinson. It's very cool. It's, it kind of sounds like Maiden in parts, and it kind of sounds like Deep Purple at times, and the drums are a little heavy in the mix. There's a song, start side 2, called Thunderburst. It's essentially the Ides of March by Iron Maiden. Apparently, this Samson guy, knew Steve Harris, and they wrote that song together. And he gives credit on the back of this that it was written by S. Harris. So, came, cool Japanese insert. Red letter English, or red background, white letter in English there. Cut this cool. I mean, this is from old school, kind of cheapo, plain looking, old school classic RCA logo on the label. But I like this record. I liked it a lot. It's not really Maiden, honestly, but it is, a pretty good early new wave of British heavy metal style of album. There's a song called Hammerhead on here, right? Yeah, Hammerhead, second song, side 2. You can really hear the vocal stylings of Bruce start to come out of what we're going to hear in a couple of years when he joins Iron Maiden. You can kind of hear that sound, that human air raid siren, like they call him. It kind of goes up and down and up and down. And overall, this is a pretty good, like I said, new wave of British heavy metal album. It is, from the 1980, all that stuff was starting. Maiden and, Priest was already around, and that new wave of British heavy metal sound was starting to come out. So this is a pretty good sample of that. I thought it was pretty good. It was only the second time I'd ever played this. Like I said, the first time I played it, I honestly had no idea that this was Bruce Dickinson's band before he was in Maiden. It was not anything I had a clue. And I didn't see the picture on the back of Bruce Dickinson. He's not listed as Bruce Dickinson anyway. But, the first song, it sounds like Bruce Dickinson, but not the way he sang in Maiden. So it was slightly different. So I was kind of thrown off a little bit, like, man, that guy sounds like Bruce Dickinson. And I was correct. But this is a pretty good record. If you can find it, if you like that new wave, that early 80s British heavy metal sound that was coming out, I'd go ahead and pick that up. So the other one I listened to was The Buzz. or the Bees or whatever. And I've talked about this record a little bit in the past. This has right there Stephen Riley. He's listed here as Stephen Riley. Steve Riley goes on to join Wasp, and then helps form LA Guns afterwards. This album is from 1982. It's a European press, whatever that means. It says it's from Europe, which is a wide range, whatever. But this album is not what you'd expect, for Stephen Riley. Well, we know of Stephen Riley. Right there, Stephen Riley, rest in peace. With what he did with Wasp and LA Guns and all of that, this doesn't sound anything like that. This is catchy pop rock of the early 80s. It's very corporate and formulaic. You can tell it's just like the record company said, oh, this is what you should sound like or whatever. Steven's drums are good, but he's not really going to town. It's basically just rhythm section. The guy's vocals is, like I said, it's a catchy pop rock album. Honestly, with this album, I probably wouldn't listen to it again. Hey, I need to listen to that Buzz album again, or that Bees album, or whatever the fuck they're called. Nobody else in this band ever became anything. They all just vanished. Stephen Riley goes on to, like I said, Wasp and LA Guns. And all the other four guys, I looked them up. There's nothing on there other than this band and one other band they were all in together other than Stephen Riley. So, whose name even escapes me. Honestly, if Stephen Riley hadn't become who he was through Wasp and LA Guns, 90% of us would have no idea this album even existed. It's just not that good. It's just catchy early 80s pop stuff. This is pre-Sunset Strip sound, pre all of that 80s metal that was coming out. This was the stuff that was happening at the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, that music that was dying off. And that's kind of what these guys were doing. Like I said, that corporate type rock that was popular at that point in time, which that scene was dying and heavy metal was starting to grow. So, so that's kind of what this is. And it's nothing really too exciting for me. Like I said, I'll listen to it again if it comes up as, like a Discogs random pick. Sometimes I do that. Just go to the random picks and let the computer decide what to listen to. And I just force myself to listen to it. Just a regular basic Epic logo. It kind of reflects the light a little bit, but I think it's just the design of the logo. I don't think it's meant to be reflective. Then the last record I'm going to talk about before they were famous is this one right here. Girl Sure Greed. Phil Lewis, LA Guns. Phil Collen, Def Leppard. This was their band they were in before they respectively got famous in their other bands. Man, this is a great record. Japanese pressing, 1980. This has new wave of British heavy metal sounds, early LA rock scene type of stuff, but this is a really, really good record. It starts off the first song, Hollywood Tease, which later becomes an LA Guns song on their debut album. I don't know why that's not coming in. Trust me, that says Hollywood Tease right there. So it's a slightly different version. It's not quite as heavy as the LA Guns version, but it's still a really good version. And this has got, like I said, Phil Lewis, LA Guns, Phil Collen from Def Leppard, and the other two guys, Simon Laffey and Jerry Laffey. I think they just kind of went away. I think this band kind of split up. This is, like I said, this is from 1980. So in a couple of years, you've got Phil joining Def Leppard real soon. Phil Collen joining Def Leppard. And you got Phil Lewis, who's known here as Philip Lewis, going and starting LA Guns in a few years. So it doesn't really have that LA sound. Of course, this is from England. This band is from England. Like I said, Japanese pressing. But it's a really good 80s metal album. It really is. I think if they would have stuck with it, there's your insert for that record. Um, I think they did 2 records altogether. There's another one out there. I tried to price it, and it's out of my price range at this point in time. Cool Jet Records logo. I love this Jet Records label. I just like the look of it. Always have. So, but yeah, that's that sound. I mean, if you guys don't have this, I'd recommend this. If you like that '80s metal, especially that new wave of British heavy metal type sound, like the Samson sound, this isn't quite as dark as that. A little bit lighter. We all know how Phil Lewis sings. And Phil Collins' guitar work is great on this album. The rhythm section of Jerry and Simon Laffey. It's great. This is a great album. This band could have been huge. These 4 guys, if they would have stuck with it, they could have been as big as they got in their respective bands. Maybe, I don't know if they would have been as big as Def Leppard, but they definitely could have pulled off an LA Guns type of fame, I guess you'd say. So this one, when I found this one, I found all these records at the same time in that find. This one, when I pulled it out, I recognized this guy right here. I'm like, hey, that's Phil Lewis. So I pulled this record out right away. I did not recognize this guy as Phil Collins until I looked at the back of the record. I'm like, oh shit, Phil Lewis and Phil Collins in here. And I know a lot of you guys who are super fans probably knew these bands existed, and I did not know Girl. I think I'd heard that before, but I didn't recognize it. The only one of the 4 that I for sure recognized was that Blackjack album, because as a huge Kiss fan, I knew Bruce Kulick was in a band called Blackjack. I think I even knew it was with Michael Bolton. So, and from what I understand, Bruce also played on the first Michael Bolton solo album before he was in Kiss also. Basically, Bruce was kind of always there in the rock scene at that time, his brother being in Meatloaf and all of that. I think he was always kind of that studio type of musician until he got picked up, to play with Kiss. And, we all know how his career went after that. They put out some very good rock albums, and I'm a huge fan. So, but anyway, so yeah, out of the 4 albums, I think this one's probably the best one of the 4 albums. This is one I would play over and over. This is as good as, it's great. You put it right up there with the LA Guns debut album. You can put it up there with all, with Rat round, Out of the Cellar, or early glam metal. Essentially, it's early glam metal, what we would call glam metal, which is a lot of people now call hair bands or whatever. These guys aren't really a hair band. Also, it does have on side 2, they do You Love Me? Speaking of Kiss, it's a remake of a Kiss song, which is on Destroyer. They do it pretty cool. I like it. They kind of slow it down a little bit. Phil Lewis really kind of wails it out. The guitar work on this record is excellent, and this is great early 80s London heavy metal sound. And it's got Phil Lewis, so what else do you need to say? So this, to me, out of the 4 albums that I'm talking about today, this is the one that is killer for, if you love that sound, I would go ahead and suggest you pick it up. All right, well, that's pretty much all I had. I haven't been able to buy, so I got nothing new to talk about. So I got to come up with some things to talk about. And I thought, let's listen to some stuff from, more obscure stuff from people that we know. So anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I finally hit 50 followers out there. So, moving right up in the world. Let's go for 100 next time. Or, let's do what MGK Boston did. I pushed for 1 million. I'm not going to do that. That's his thing. I'll be happy. I'm happy with the 50 that is subscribed right now. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I am just an old Gen Xer talking about music, and talking about records. And sometimes I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. It's a pretty good beer. The more you drink, the better it tastes. So you probably only get it in the South. It is from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm sure it's more regional. I don't live in Georgia. I live in Tennessee, but I'm sure you might be able to find it if you're in the South. I'd never heard of it before until today when I saw it in the store, and I thought, hell, blood orange, why not? So yeah, I would say Girl, 4 stars, easy. The Buzz, about 2.5. Same with that Blackjack with Bruce Kulick. The only reason I would give it maybe 3 is because I'm a Bruce Kulick fan. I think he's a great guitar player. Samson, that's a 3.5 or 4 star record. That's a pretty cool early 80s kind of that darker, heavier, new wave of British heavy metal type of sound. So all of them were pretty good depending on what you like. And that's the thing with the Blackjack album and with the Buzz album. It's just not my style. You know, the Buzz album is that corporate rock. It doesn't really speak to me. Blackjack album, like I said, good guitar work. Michael Bolton's got a good voice, but he doesn't sing in a style I particularly care for either. More of an easy listening type of record. This one here is a pure 80s rock album. The Samson album is a pure early 80s new wave of British heavy metal album. So, and we all know what happened with all those guys when they moved on. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And all you out there in the vinyl community, have a great night. All right. Thanks, guys.